She chuckled. "You're really upset over a few pictures with my boss." "After I discovered photos from their weekend conference," I replied. "No, I'm just finished being an intern in my own relationship." Her boss's wife didn't find it funny when she received the anonymous envelope. "For the past year, I felt like I was merely an intern in my own relationship. It's hard to describe that feeling. I wasn't a partner, I was support staff. My girlfriend Amy was the rising star, and my role was to ensure her life ran smoothly so she could shine. I took care of the groceries, laundry, cooking, and bills. I was the solid foundation upon which she built her impressive career. I did it willingly, thinking I was investing in us. I believed we were a team, and I was fulfilling my role. Now I see that I wasn't on the team at all. I was just the guy who carried the water bottles." The rising star narrative revolved around her boss, a man named Richard. He was the senior vice president at her firm, a charming, silver-haired executive who had taken Amy under his wing. At first, I was thrilled for her. He was mentoring her, providing opportunities, and fast-tracking her for promotion. "Richard says I have the potential to be a partner one day," she would tell me, her eyes sparkling. Their work life became all-consuming. There were late-night strategy sessions, business dinners, and eventually weekend conferences. The latest was a 2-day leadership summit in wine country. She packed her best outfits, her new laptop, and told me how important this was for her career. I wished her luck, kissed her goodbye, and spent the weekend deep cleaning our apartment, the one I paid the mortgage on. The discovery happened by chance, as these things often do. We had a shared family account on a cloud service set up ages ago to share photos with our parents. I rarely used it, but a few days after she returned from her trip, I received an automatic notification on my laptop. New photos have been added to the shared album. I clicked on it without thinking. It wasn't an album of conference rooms and PowerPoint presentations. It was a collection of about 30 photos from her weekend. And they weren't just a few selfies. There was a picture of her and Richard clinking champagne glasses on a sun-drenched private balcony, a sprawling vineyard in the background. Another showed them laughing, heads close together at a candlelit dinner for two. One featured her alone in a plush white hotel robe, the kind you only find in luxury suites, smiling seductively at the camera. The person holding that camera was clearly Richard. But the last photo was the one that made my heart stop. It was a selfie of the two of them taken from a low angle. They were lying down, propped on pillows, the white duvet pulled up to their chests. They were in bed together. Her head rested on his shoulder. It was intimate, undeniable, and felt like a punch to the gut. I sat there for a long time, just staring at the screen. The feeling wasn't the explosive anger I would have expected. It was a deep, hollow sadness. The internship was over. I had been used. All my support and sacrifice hadn't been for us. It had been to give her the freedom and stability to pursue an affair with her boss. I waited for her to come home that evening. I didn't shout or raise my voice. I simply turned my laptop screen towards her as she walked in the door. "Tell me about the leadership summit," I said quietly. She saw the photos. A flash of panic crossed her face, but it quickly shifted to defiance. She forced a laugh, a brittle, ugly sound. "Oh my God," she said, rolling her eyes. "You're seriously upset over a few selfies with my boss." It was a work event. We were celebrating a successful quarter. "You need to relax." I looked at her and noted the casual way she dismissed my feelings, the way she tried to frame me as the unreasonable one. The sadness inside me hardened into determination. "No," I said, my voice flat and steady. "I'm not upset about the selfies." I closed the laptop. "I'm just done being an intern in my own relationship." She looked confused. "What does that mean?" "It means I'm finished doing all the support work for a company I'm not a part of," I explained. "I handle the logistics, the domestic duties, the emotional support, so the star player can succeed. But I get no credit, no respect, and it turns out my role was never going to be upgraded to partner. My contract is being terminated. You need to pack your things and leave my apartment." The laughter disappeared. The smug confidence vanished, replaced by cold, sharp anger. "You can't be serious," she hissed. "You're throwing away everything we have over a couple of innocent pictures." "The pictures aren't innocent, and we don't have anything," I replied. "You have a relationship with your boss. I was just the guy funding the infrastructure. The internship is over, Amy. Find somewhere else to live." Update 1. The week that followed was a master class in emotional manipulation. Amy refused to accept that I was serious. She cycled through every tactic in the book. First came the rage. She called me controlling, insecure, and jealous. She screamed that I was trying to sabotage her career because I couldn't handle her success. When that didn't work, the tears started. She cried about how much she loved me. How could I throw it all away? How it was all a misunderstanding. When the tears failed, she tried to act as if nothing had happened, making dinner, and asking about my day, as if we were the same happy couple we pretended to be. I didn't engage. I moved into the spare bedroom and kept the door locked. I calmly told her repeatedly, "You have 1 week to find a new place to live before I begin the formal eviction process." The mention of a legal process seemed to finally convince her that I was not bluffing. Her parents called, accusing me of being cruel. I told them to ask their daughter to show them her photos from the conference, and the call ended abruptly. While she was switching between her various emotional strategies, I was operating on a different level. Breaking up with her wasn't enough. The disrespect ran too deep. She and her boss had built their affair on the foundation of my life, my home, and my support. They had colluded in a lie that affected multiple people. A simple breakup would allow them to continue their arrangement with no consequences. I felt that another stakeholder in this venture deserved to be notified, Richard's wife. My mission was clear. I wore latex gloves and used a public library computer to do my research. Finding her was surprisingly easy. Richard was a minor local figure, and his wife Catherine was often mentioned in articles about charity galas. I found their home address through public property records. Next, I prepared the contents of the anonymous package. I went to a print shop in a town 30 miles away. I printed high-quality 8x10 color copies of the 5 most damning photographs. The champagne toast on the balcony, the candlelit dinner, Amy in the hotel robe, and of course the grand finale, the selfie of them in bed together. I also included a copy of the hotel bill for their King Executive Suite, which I had found saved as a PDF on our shared cloud drive. It clearly showed a 2-night stay and room service charges for champagne and strawberries, not exactly standard conference expenses. I didn't write a long, angry letter. I simply typed out a single sentence on a plain white piece of paper. Your husband's leadership summits seem much more intimate than one would expect. I placed the photos and the note inside a plain manila envelope. I used a prepaid postage stamp, drove to another town, and dropped the envelope into a public mailbox. There was no trace of me anywhere on it. My part was finished. All I had to do was wait for the fallout. At the end of the week, Amy finally moved out. She hired movers and cleared out her things while I was at work. She left her tea on the counter with a one-word note of her own. Coward. I looked at the note, then around my quiet, empty apartment. I didn't feel like a coward. I felt free. Update 2. For 3 weeks, there was silence. Life returned to a calm state that I hadn't realized I was missing. I reclaimed my space, rearranged the furniture, got rid of the decorative pillows and scented candles she loved, and made the apartment mine again. I started to wonder if my anonymous envelope had even worked. Maybe Catherine had received it and chose to do nothing. Maybe she already knew and just didn't care. Then one Tuesday afternoon, my phone buzzed with a text from a number I didn't recognize. It was Amy. "What did you do?" The text was followed by another and another. "Richard was just escorted out of the building. Everyone is looking at me. What did you do to us? Answer your phone, you monster. You have ruined my life." A slow, grim smile spread across my face. The package had landed. I didn't have to guess what happened next. The story came to me a few days later from an old college buddy who, by complete coincidence, works in the finance department of the same massive corporation as Amy and Richard. He called me, his voice a mix of shock and amusement. "Dude, you are not going to believe the drama that went down here this week." He told me the whole story. Apparently, Catherine was not the type to suffer in silence. She hadn't just gotten angry, she had gone strategic. Instead of confronting Richard at home, she scheduled a meeting with the company's head of human resources and the chief legal officer. In that meeting, she presented the contents of the envelope as evidence of an inappropriate relationship between a senior executive and his direct subordinate, which was a clear violation of their corporate code of conduct. She framed it as a potential liability for the company, hinting at a sexual harassment lawsuit if they didn't take it seriously. My friend said the fallout was immediate and spectacular. HR launched a formal investigation. Richard was called into a meeting where he was presented with the evidence. He was suspended on the spot, his corporate accounts frozen, and he was escorted from the building by security, carrying his belongings in a cardboard box. The entire office witnessed it happen. Amy's situation was just as bleak. With Richard gone, her protector was gone. She was now the other party in a massive corporate scandal. My friend said she was immediately ostracized. No one would talk to her. She was removed from all her major projects. She was an outcast, a pariah in a place where she had felt like a queen just a month before. The rising star had become a black hole. My friend had no idea I was involved. He was just sharing the juiciest office gossip of the year. I listened, making noncommittal sounds. The plan had worked better than I could have ever imagined. I hadn't just ended their affair. I had triggered a corporate implosion that had professionally and publicly dismantled them both. Final update. It has now been about 5 months since I sent that envelope. The final pieces of the story have fallen into place, and the outcome has been more thorough than I could have dreamed. Richard was officially fired about a month after his suspension. The internal investigation confirmed everything. His wife, Catherine, filed for divorce the same day she went to HR. From what I've heard, she used the evidence of his infidelity and the morality clause in their prenuptial agreement to her full advantage. He lost his job, his reputation, and a significant portion of his wealth. Amy's fate was just as decisive. While she wasn't fired outright, her position at the company became untenable. She was a walking scandal. After a few weeks of being shunned and given no work to do, she resigned. Her grand career, the one she had sacrificed her integrity for, was over. A quick online search revealed that she struggled to find work in the same industry. A scandal involving a major company's senior VP tends to follow you. She tried to contact me one last time about 2 months ago. She didn't call. Instead, she showed up at my apartment building and buzzed my intercom. I answered, and her voice, strained and broken, came through the speaker. "Alex, please," she said. "We need to talk. I need to see you." I had no interest in seeing her or hearing her excuses. "There's nothing to talk about, Amy," I said, my voice flat. "You ruined me." She sobbed. "My career, my life, everything. It's all gone because of you. You did this to me." I took a deep breath. "Let's be very clear," I said, my voice cold and final. "I didn't do anything to you. I just forwarded a progress report to the other major investor in your project. You and Richard built your success on lies and disrespect. The foundation was rotten. All I did was show one of the pictures to the building inspector. The fact that the whole thing collapsed is on you, the architects. You were never a rising star, Amy. You were just a liability. Goodbye." I cut the connection and turned off the intercom. She stayed outside for about 10 minutes, then finally left. I haven't heard from her since. My life is quiet now. It's stable. I've been promoted at my own job. Ironically, without the constant drain of supporting Amy's drama, I had more energy to focus on my own ambitions. I learned a valuable lesson. A relationship is a partnership, not an internship. You should never be the unpaid support staff for someone else's life, especially when they have no intention of ever making you a partner. The revenge I took was indirect, but it was complete. I didn't need to fight them. I just held up a mirror and made them, and the world they cared about, look at what they truly were. The consequences were natural and absolute. And the peace that comes from reclaiming your self-respect is the best kind of success there is.